on, your team mightn't be playing, that people do it then almost as a wee pastime. But as that pastime grows, the danger is of you having that switch on. We've all got different genes, Craig, you know. I mean, all of us have a different way. I mean, when I was school, not great with the books, not bad in the football pitch. Where did that come from? It's either in you or it's not. The same as a gene that'll make you take up gambling, not know when to stop it. I mean, I put on a bet myself, Greg, I'll be honest. I have no problem saying it. But it's very much about a bit of fun for me, and I'll never go further than that. But obviously, for people then, they don't have that switch off. So we're all made differently. The thing is, we've got to protect the people that are in danger of this, because it's going to end up ruining so many lives. I mean, a lady phoned me a few weeks back. Her son was abroad, brilliant job, everything was flying for him, and he just came through with her there that had lost all his money gambling in the casinos, which is a much bigger thing in different countries, Australia, America, and places like this. So, you know, I reached out to Oisín McConville, and who does talks on this. Me and Oisín be friends, and he rang the lad and that and has got him straightened up. But the emotion, I suppose, in the mum's voice talking to me, Greg, because I haven't really experienced anybody in my family with that, people don't realise what's going on.
And I think you probably got, Brendan, and I don't know, them at rock bottom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't need to know either, really, how long that was going on, or what it led up to that, or how much was lost. But I would imagine they reached out to you, and fair play to get Oisín involved. That was rock bottom point. That was the whereas, you know, things couldn't get much worse, really.
Yeah. Greg, it's horrible to hear anybody at that level. And as you said, the targeted nature of young people now going right in, this is all part of life and part of sport is very dangerous, I suppose. And as I say, the amount of people that now are drawn into this, Greg, that it's somewhat of a pastime. But the thing that gets me about, Greg, outside the addicts would be, you take your normal lad, and we're all pretty much the same. You spend your wages. That last week of the month, Greg, I'm waiting on that paycheck to come in. Now, you've got a certain bit of disposable income there. So if a lad is gambling, let's say, £100 a week without really even noticing that he's losing, you know, there's a holiday for his family at the end of the year. That's a bit of disposable, Greg. That's going. You're taking money now. His wife or his family mightn't really realise it, but it's something you're tipping away at that is really hurting your money, your extra wee bit of income that you might have to put away for other things.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing gets me about your average guy betting on sport. You know?
But it's the way it's been done too. Like there was a streaming service launched recently covering a particular sport that I like, right? And at the beginning, I know, because I'd be conscious this was no mention of gambling, right? And then everything, all of a sudden, it wasn't about whether one guy would beat another. All of a sudden, casually, it started to be, well, he's the favourite now, or you have to lay, if you lay €5, you get a €20 return. And it was like really, really casual. And then I noticed adverts started popping up on this service. And what were they for? They were for bookmakers. So what was happening is clearly, and I can't prove this, but to coincide with the advertising campaign, which must have been big money, it was the casual referencing. It was framing the sport and the winners and the losers in a betting context. And I can pick the week where it kind of changed. And then all of a sudden you're watching it now and it's like, right, everything's about, we've got gambling in the adverts, betting shops in the adverts, and now they're just casually talking about how you could benefit if you took a bit of a risk. And I was thinking, that's what happens. It's dirty. It's subliminal, and it's so contrived, and it's all about money.
Yeah, as you say, the problem is once money comes into it, right, and you now have these gambling companies that are worth billions, so they're employing the best people out there to target people, and as you say, almost a wee bit covert in terms of how they're getting their message, and they're partnering up with top stars like Mourinho and different sports personalities, ex-actors, all to make it a wee bit comfy that this is all part of life, and sure, stick a wee bet on, no big deal, and watch your hunch and watch this and watch that. So it's that level, I think, of making it normal that suits the gambling companies. But then in that, you have people going over and above what they should be doing, Greg, and it's hurting so many people. And there has to be some level where it's pulled in to try and protect people. There's loads of people listening now thinking, whatever, I don't gamble, or it's not an issue for me, I might throw an odd thing in the Grand National or something. But it is an issue for loads of people, Greg, and as you said about that lad that I said was abroad that his mum phoned, people aren't talking about it, and they're losing more than they can afford, Greg, and this is the thing that's hurting.
And it's the fact that our younger people are being conditioned at 18. To some extent, we can make our own minds up, and maybe sometimes you have to take the hit if you make the wrong decisions. But to be conditioning young people to believe that sport and gambling are completely intertwined is an issue. Stay with me, Brendan, because we want to hear Jamie's views here as well. Jamie, listen, sorry for holding. I really do appreciate your patience. And yours is a journey relatively late in life into a gambling addiction, Jamie. How did, as much as you're comfortable talking about it, tell me how things unfolded for you.
Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Well, mine was addicted to, I got addiction to Parkinson's disease. I took it at 42 years of age, put on this tablet, and it just led to complications, addictive behaviour, I just started to gamble, and actually went to a meeting, a Gamblers Anonymous meeting, and I was told by a man there that his sister took Parkinson's at the same age, and her problem was slot machines. So basically I gambled all I had,
Really?
Yeah, and it's just, I heard you on about today, I just want to put the warning out there to anybody that's diagnosed or put on medicine, there's very little warnings out there for them,
So are you saying there must have been some sort of a chemical change that
yeah,
sort of was able to trigger this addiction?
7 to 15% of people with Parkinson's disease get some kind of addictive behaviour. It could be shopping, could be anything at all,
And in the midst of it, Jamie, before you sort of says, right, I've gambled everything, did you feel you had an addiction, or what did it feel like when you were laying your bets? And
yeah, once I got inside the bookie's door, I was happy.
Yeah.
You'd have €2,000 in my pocket or €2 in my pocket was the same thing.
Was it a bit of a coping mechanism as well, or?
No, just everything pushed me to the bookies. Couldn't walk past them, couldn't drive past them.
Yeah.
Now when I went off the medicine, I'm actually clear. No problems at all.
And do you find it, if you're watching sports, Jamie?
No bother at all. I can drive anywhere at all now, past the bookies, walk past the door, no problem.
Right, okay. But yours is a word of warning then, because this is something that you believe was triggered by medication.
It definitely was. Because once I went off the medication, I went down and told my doctor said I probably should have warned you about that.
Right, okay, but...
Well, I just feel somebody of the family should be told,
Understood. All right, Jamie, I'm glad things have improved for you in that regard, and I appreciate it. A word of warning. Thanks very much, Jamie, for your time. And again, thank you so much for holding. Brendan, what's the GAA like in terms of its interaction with betting? I mean, we know football now, even just before kick-off in a soccer game, they'll run a betting shop ad. It's the same with other sports. Are we any better at it in our country with our own sports, I wonder?
No, do you know what, Jerry? I think the betting in GAA is a wee bit more complicated. You see, it's not as easy to do in-play like soccer, like next goal and the way corners and all. It hasn't got that deep yet, I think it's like there's very little draws, for example, in GAA and that. So it's a wee bit of a different world around it. What I see with it, Greg, is people have to go a bit heavier in accumulator. So you might pick 3 or 4 teams to win. But there's always a shock. There's always something in there, Greg. And by the very nature of sports, people will be caught out and they take it in the chin. But what I mean is, Greg, a guy might put on 5 or 6 of them bets to win one, but he's still down. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. Just come back to what Jamie was saying there. That medication obviously switched on that gene that some people have, Greg, that they can't hold back. That they keep going and going. It's very dangerous. Interesting to hear him say that.
And also, they're talking about gambling machines as well, ads for them. I mean, gambling machines are also a big problem. I've spoken to people on this programme before that a loved one disappears inside one of these buildings, comes out, nothing left, absolutely nothing left, nothing for food, nothing for bills, all the money gone, and they can feel really incredibly isolated on it and feel really helpless. I mean, that is another area, of course, that this legislation will be looking at potentially.
Yeah, you've definitely slot machine place where there's a few of them on the border in that, Craig, where they seem to always have people in the car park, all right. And if you look at other countries, for Australia, for example, being out there, these big casinos everywhere, and their casinos dwarf the money taken in compared to online. It's hard for us to believe in Ireland. You wouldn't think casinos would take in the type of money, or people would be on the slots, but they are flat out on them. And I'll just give you an example, Greg, of the bookies. They do these big startup things where they'll give you a whole load of credit. So I I signed up for one of these, right, in the lockdown because there was a lot on it, right. So I won, right. And I went to take the money out, and he wouldn't allow you because you hadn't put enough money in. And I thought, therein tells the tale with the bookie. Even though I'd won the bet, when I went to review the money, they said to me, you haven't put enough in to take this out. So they actually need you to be in the red. With them.
And if you win, if you happen to continue to win with them or win big, they will ban you. So everything is geared for them to have money flowing in the one direction. Your money can go in instantly. There can be a 3 or 4 day for it to be sent back to you. And what some of them will do, they'll put it on hold right for 3 days and say that, by the way, you can reverse this withdrawal at any moment. So, and they know then people go, oh, there's another game on tonight, right? I might, and I don't mind. As I said, Brendan, adults will make decisions. You made your decision. You said stuff them. It's the 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds that I think they should be not subjected to this. So when they hit 18 and they get a job, they can make up their own decisions. I'm not saying things should be banned or anything unilateral, but to be purposely targeting these young people, to be conditioning them to gamble, we should all be against that, I think.
Yeah, there must be some way eventually, whenever we get things together, that we can tie in, I suppose, a person's ability. Now, I know they said you can set limits and things like that, but you can get round them at any points, Craig. And I know loads of people that have bit the bullet and said, I know I'm losing money here. That's enough, right? Even before it gets to what you call an addiction stage. When they sign off, they're getting texts, emails, the whole lot into their phone, with comeback offers, come back, and they're getting targeted all the time, Craig. And all it takes is one slip then, and they're back in again. So, listen, well, good man for highlighting it, Greg, because it's a massive thing out there. And what you were saying there about the tip of the iceberg, Greg, there's a lot of people just wasting their disposable income on things like this every month, and that's something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, and we're not to embarrass them, to support them, to talk to them. If you have an issue, talk to your mates, talking to fellas, whatever it might take. Just have it. There's no stigma. If you want to talk to someone or think you want to get something off your chest, it's good to talk. Thanks, Brendan. Great to have you with us. He's back with us next Monday. Kieran O'Donnell's going to be with us talking business after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard. Bringing full banking features. Delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Print your First Communion photos at McGee's Chemist and you'll get a free, large 10x8 photo of your choice. With photos from just 12 cents, you can print in-store or use the McGee's Photo Prints app and have them delivered direct to your door. Preserve all your best First Communion moments or great memories from any big occasion with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, where the best costs less. Terms and conditions apply. Ask in-store for details.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €2.8 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
The O'Neill Sportswear Massive Warehouse Clearance Sale is back by popular demand. For 1 weekend only, County GA jerseys, leisure wear, including t-shirts, tracksuit bottoms, half-zips, hoodies and jackets, are all reduced to clear. Open from 9 a.m. Friday, May 20th and Sunday, May 22nd. The sale will take place at O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse off the Melmount Road roundabout, Strabane.
The 21st of May 2022 will mark the 90th anniversary of Amelia Earhart's historic landing in Derry, Londonderry, when she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic solo. A number of events are taking place this weekend, 20th to 22nd of May, to celebrate her legacy. Visit www.derrystrabane.com/what's-on/Amelia Earhart 90 for the programme of events.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Stress-free travel, 10 minutes from car park to departures gate, and a selection of 19 destinations across the UK and Europe to choose from. Can only be one place. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okie doke, let's look at that weather forecast for you. Into the afternoon, there will be some rain developing with some thunderstorms, particularly the further west you go. Temperatures 15, 17 degrees, winds getting gusty.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. The Level 8 Honours degree in Business is delivered through a mix of online and face-to-face lectures. Email exceedbusiness@lyit.ie. That's EXECED business at lyit.ie or call 9186 206.
It's great to welcome into studio Kieran O'Donnell. I'm so excited. I'm speaking over the adverts. That's how thrilled I am to have Kieran back. Hiya, Kieran.
I believe you, Greg.
Genuinely, I'm
I'm very good.
Greg.
How are you?
Okay, I'm good, thank you. Right, let's crack on with some news. Electric bike service for Sligo. What's this about?
Yeah, Bolt, they are the largest micromobility operator in Europe, are launching its first Irish electric bike service in Sligo at the start of June. The company currently operates ride-hailing taxi services in Dublin and Cork and is seeking to bring electric bikes and, in time, electric scooters to cities and towns across Ireland. So this launch in Sligo was part of a wider push for Bolt to deploy 16,000 e-bikes across Europe in 2022. Bolt operates a range of services including e-bikes, e-scooters, ride-hailing and car clubs for over 100 million people across 170 cities. So I suppose you can ask the question, will this be rolled out in other towns in the northwest and in towns in Donegal?
I suppose they'll wait to see how it goes in Sligo. Presumably this is you pick a bike up in a location, use it, drop it at another location, it charges and...
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Because I think they're doing that with push bikes in Letterkenny already. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, how that's going and how the uptake might be for electric bikes. Okay, we're back in dairy products.
Yeah, consumers in Ulster are overwhelmingly backing dairy production in Ireland, with 86% calling for more support for dairy farmers to further enhance the sustainability of Ireland's grass-based dairy production process. This is one of the key findings of a new national research over 1,500 Irish adults released by the European Milk Forum as part of its Dairy in a Healthy and Sustainable European Food System campaign. So 71% of the consumers surveyed say dairy is vital to rural communities and regional economies, while 69% are willing to pay more for dairy products, provided they see evidence that the increase is going to embed the latest environmental initiatives in production. So people are very sustainability aware at the minute, Greg.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting event, interesting and important timing, I think, from the Inishowen Development Partnership.
Yeah, quite a lot going on down there, Greg. Inishowen Development Partnership recently held the second event in the In Business series, focusing on the Inishowen construction, manufacturing, transport and engineering sectors. The aims of In Business series are to bring businesses and entrepreneurs together and to collectively identify gaps and the needs of the Inishowen business community.
All right, now we've been hearing from a local Ramelton farmer talking about potential availability of silage.
Yeah, Ramelton farmer Alistair Doherty says he's worried there will be a shortage of silage and money later this year, especially on smaller farms. The Donegal contractor who featured on the TG4 show Contractors earlier this year is also predicting that it will be the smaller farmers who will be hit the hardest.
Right, and of course there are government incentives announced by Minister McConnell to try and encourage that, but we'll see. I would trust Alistair's view rather than mine.
Yeah.
Right, okay, everyone at this point is looking to try and trim the fat. There are ways of doing so, and I suppose, doing our bit.
Yeah, families could save about €60 a month by wasting less food, according to a report from Goodbody Stockbrokers. Around a third of all food product in the world is wasted every year, and households are the biggest culprits, accounting for 70% of it in the developed world. So the Goodbody Stockbrokers findings published yesterday calculate that Irish homes waste about 55 kilograms of food every year.
All right, I can see how it happens.
And we're all guilty of it.
Yeah, I think so.
We're all guilty of it.
Right, on this week's podcast, Kieran.
Yeah, on this week's podcast, Greg, I'm joined by Liam Cassidy. Born in Buncrana and raised in Kilmacrennan, he left school at a young age to join the army. A career change took him into the manufacturing sector in England, and he took up a senior management position with General Motors before moving to the Gillette Corporation in 1991. He is a partner now in lean management at Altice Consulting, a global business consulting firm that is headquartered in the US. Liam has become known as the serial factory fixer, having turned around the fortunes of factories and supply chains all over the world. Now living in Newbridge, County Kildare, the Donegal native has shared the secret to his success in a new book, Make Your Factory Great and Keep It That Way. In this clip, Liam recalls how he saved the Oral-B plant in Iowa, which employed around 700 people from closure.
I was recruited to buy Gillette to the Oral-B plant from GM to make it world class, and I helped make it world class, and it's still there to this day. And then I was asked to go to around 2000, early 2000, to go to Iowa City in the Midwest to prepare the largest toothbrush plant in the world for closure. They had fallen behind. They had their costs were very high. They were the most expensive toothbrush plant in the world, within the Gillette world anyway. And I said I would go, but only if I could have a go at turning it around, because I'd been there already on a visit. I thought there was great potential there, and I'd learned about what world-class manufacturing. Now it's called lean, in other words. So lean manufacturing is putting the people at the very centre of things at every level. You invest in them. You give them career paths. You give them a voice in how the workplace should be designed and how it should operate. And you hold them accountable. You hold people accountable at every level. And so within 2 years, we made the Iowa City factory the best performing factory in the Gillette organisation.
From a Gillette perspective, definitely the best a man can get. Remarkable what he's doing there, because he's actually going in and turning things around, saving jobs. A really, really interesting story, Kieran, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, I suppose his life path was very interesting, and how he changed. Joined the army very young, left, went over to London, went into the manufacturing world, started on the floor, on the factory floor literally, and worked his way up. Obviously he could identify what worked, and more importantly he could identify what wasn't able to work, and he took on that challenge to go over to that major production plant on the condition that he could try and save it, and that's what he did. So obviously he rolled that template out across the other factories and across the other businesses and supply chains that he was working with.
Yeah, and turn those people potentially about to lose their jobs into assets for the company, which is the way it should be. I think it's probably a bit about making companies realise what they have and how they can best use their staff. Yeah, the only thing was making the employee part and central to the success of the company, and giving them a voice and making them feel valued. And I think obviously if you can bring people with you, you'll heighten morale, you'll heighten productivity, and ultimately you'll heighten profit. Yeah, and I know we have a bit of crack, but that is another fabulous insight into another area of business, the logistics of it, and the difference one individual with their skill set can make. So you get to listen to the long version of that conversation with Liam Cassidy. And I'd imagine it is a podcast for business people and those outside who want to hear more about business. There could be some real inspiration, some tips there in the last 10-15 seconds, Kieran. He had a few nuggets of wisdom in there for all ages. And I was thinking about that coming up this morning. No matter what age you are, there's a wee lesson there, and there's a few wee tips there from Liam that you could take on, and it would serve you very well. Kieran, thanks very much indeed. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. The full interview with Liam Cassidy is available now on our website, highlandradio.com, in the playback section. It's also on Spotify and iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts, and it'll be broadcast Business Matters on the radio on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Kieran, just drop me an email, please, Greg. businessmatters@highlandradio.com. Lovely stuff. Right, we did a quick poll on our social medias talking about gambling ads, asking should they be banned before 9 p.m. on Twitter. 100% of you believe they should. On Instagram, the margin's slightly different. 76% says yes, they should be banned. 24% said no. Have a great day. John Breslin's coming up around the northwest next.